Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have interviewed this man previously on the show, but we are honoured to have him again with us. You know him as one of the greatest comedians in Australian history, dare I say the world. But a lot of people do not know this part of the story. He is, in fact, a veteran of this country. He was served very honourably in the Vietnam War. Ladies and gentlemen, Australian comedian Col Elliott. How are you, good sir?
Josh, thank you very much. That's a lovely. The preface before about the comedian stuff. I'm going to send you $10 for that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's the only way I make my money.
Yeah. I once I got out of the Navy and away from Vietnam and all the rest of it, I need to laugh, and I guess that's where it come from.
It's a very interesting story. Your story. You actually have a really good book out, your autobiography as well. That covers a fair bit of your life and how it led to comedy. But I was wondering today if you wouldn't mind sharing with us your story. What led you to join the service and go and fight for your country?
It's my family, actually. My family, the whole family had been to war. My mother was in the Blitz in London. She was in the Land Army. And my father was at Dunkirk, the old man. My brother Ralph was 1 Ra, Battle of Coral. My nephew, his son, Ralph's son, 27 and a half years SAS, Iraq. I was Vietnam. So it was, and it's funny, I went to Vietnam in 1967 when I was 17. No one asked me how old I was, but I was 17. And I was on the Hobart, HMAS Hobart, D-39, great ship. And it was the very first deployment that we had. And we were on loan. We were on loan to the Americans, really. We were under their command, the 7th Fleet. And our job was in the Gulf of Tonkin, and we had to stop the supplies coming down to the Viet Cong and NVA and all the rest. So there were barges, and we were sent in to take care of them, to stop their supplies, and then they opened up on us. So we come under fire quite a bit, and I can see what you've got a picture up there, the back of a head there, and that's where the bombs were dropping around. There was one guy here, this lieutenant, who's hanging onto a board. That's a fall of shot board. Yeah, that's it. And there's a little line in the middle. I don't know if you can get in close, but there's a little line in the middle, and that represents the ship. And all the other dots represent the accuracy of the North Vietnamese barrages. And we come under heavy fire that day. Don't try, it's going to mess you around. But the closest was about 10 foot from the port bow. Look, a lot of people don't realise what the Navy did over there. We were relieved by the Perth. She picked us up. And then the second trip of the Hobart, and I wasn't on it, thank God, we lost 2 guys to friendly fire from the Yanks. It was a pretty intense sort of place, and the work we were doing was pretty heavy. And I at 17, I remember the chief saying, look, they were stepping in the men close to us, and I remember him yelling, "Hit the deck!" I said, "I'm already down here." I was landing because my job was this, where spotter, anti-aircraft, and I used to have to spot where the shells were coming from, and talk to the bridge and all that sort of stuff. So I was 17. I turned 18. 3 months or 2 months before I come home, and the 29th of the 7th, 1949 was when I was born, and that was my birthday. That day, the USS Forest blew up, and we went in to assist her, and she lost 134 lives. This is off Vietnam. It was a rocket was triggered by an electrical fault, went in, hit some maintenance. It was just the worst thing to see. So I saw that, and So there was, and then when I was 19, I was on the frigate, the HMAS Stewart, and a great ship and great mates on that. And we were with the Melbourne when the Frankie Evans was cut in half by the Melbourne, and they lost 74 blokes that morning, and we went in to assist. So when you see all that sort of stuff, and I was 7 years in the Navy, I ended up an instructor at Cerberus. I taught basic seamanship and NBCD, nuclear, biological, chemical defence. I still remember. I did that and taught them about all the best bars to go to in Hong Kong and Singapore. So I don't know how much they learned off me. But yeah, I had 7 years, and you come out after you see what you see, you do come out changed. And my brother was in Wanra, and he was in the Battle of Coral. He saw a lot. My nephew saw a lot. And it changes your outlook on life.
Do you accredit, I guess, your time in Vietnam and in the Navy with being such a young age, coming in at 17, like so many others join the services at that age, especially in Vietnam?
I was 16. I joined the Navy, and I'd been in the Navy for a year at HMAS Lewin, which was a junior recruit training, and you did 12 months, and it was a pretty tough school. And I did that, then went to sea, and I was just 17, and I was told to get on board the Hobart. She needed 2 men. There was my mate who was a month older than me, so I was the youngest on board. He was 17 as well, and then the closest to us was about 23 or 24, because the recruits were senior recruits, and even though they were ordinary seamen, the same rank as me, they hadn't been in the Navy as long as me, and I was 17, and I think I'd been in 18 months or whatever, that 2 years or whatever at that time, and I was sent to Vietnam. But they didn't bother to say, "Col, how old are you?" And you know what? One of the things I wrote in the book, which I wasn't allowed to drink and I wasn't allowed to vote, but it was okay that they could fire at me. So, there's an irony for you.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's how it all sort of pans out. Do you think when joining the service at that age and experiencing what you had experienced, with one, taking fire, getting so close to your own vessel, do you think that created, I guess, who you became later in life when you got into comedy? Do you think your naval experience?
I think it had a lot to do with it, because I really need to laugh. By the time I got out of the Navy, I knew that I wanted to do something else. I mean, in the bars in Singapore and Hong Kong and Bangkok, Kuala Lumpur, Penang, all those Far East bars that I travelled to, we formed a little band, and I think we called it the New Nee Soon City Ramblers Jug and Jazz Band. We got it here. And I did all my songs, that stupid stuff I was writing, Who Put the Sand in the Vaseline, all those terrible songs I wrote. You'll never see a roof rack on a hearse. I did all that sort of stuff, and told gags, and loved. I love to watch people laugh, and when people come up to you, and I think, and we were talking about this earlier during the day. God bless you, Barry. Barry Humphries died. What an incredible performer, and he said it in a nutshell. He said, to watch people laugh gives you so much relief and so much joy. And I love to watch people laugh. And when I walk on stage, I give them my best shot, and I love it as much as they do. So, it gave me an outlet. I've been married to Karen for 50 years. We've got 3 beautiful daughters. I was going to say 3 kids, 1 of each, but I won't go back into routine. And 8 grandchildren. And by gee, that's what life's about. Family. It's all about family. But my comedy and I did do a lot of comedy, and I toured so many years, and my kids were calling me uncle. But I did, my grandchildren, I get to spend a lot more time with my grandchildren, and family's everything. So I'm a very lucky man.
There's no secret here, and I'll be completely honest with you. The reason I got into comedy in the first place was because of you. I grew up listening to, your records, your tapes. My very first tape I ever owned was the Lighter Side of Col Elliott. That was my very first tape. So that it was good comedy for me as a child, because it didn't have some of your adult stuff in it. There was jokes in there that I could understand as a young person, and I sort of started building my routine as a kid around yourself. And it wasn't until my later part of life that I got to not only meet you as a comedian. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I consider you, without a shadow of a doubt, part of my family, and we speak every day. And
Well, we do. We do speak a lot, and you do a lot of my work for me with your PR. You're fantastic. I call him Flash because I'll say, mate, we should put that reel on and off. It's up there, and I go, you can't be that quick. No one can. I can't even turn the computer on that quick. No, you're very good at what you do, and you're a good comedian yourself. And I think comedy, you know yourself, we have laughed over so many things, and I think comedy, you've got to have a good sense of humour, and laughter is the best medicine. And I see a lot of my vet mates with PTSD, and I understand it. And I work for the vets when I can, and being a vet, I'm very proud that when we got home, they didn't want to know us. It was horrible stuff. But I talked to Normie, I've talked to everybody, and we're all the same. But comedy was a great outlet for me, and I still love it.
that was going to be one of my questions, if you don't mind me asking. And please,
No.
if I ever touch on a subject where you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. There's no thing here. But we have spoken to another military person today, and we spoke about the return home. And now that it's coming into Anzac Day, we all remember World War One, World War Two, and the spirit of the Anzac, and where we're so trained, I wouldn't say trained, but we're educated at such a young age about the stories of World War One, the stories of World War Two, and them coming home as heroes. And then the Vietnam era came in, and things changed, and not for the best.
And it was politically motivated. Look, we didn't have a choice. We went into Vietnam. We had to go. That was our choice. We were allied with America and all the rest of it. And we were told that it was the Doppler effect from the communists coming down, and we had to stop it and all the rest. So we had our belief or whatever. But when we got home, I remember in uniform, and I had my uniform on, I had my ribbons on, which were part of my uniform, and I had to go up to get, in Sydney, I had to go and get the mail with another guy. And we got up there, and we were surrounded by some people that, I wouldn't tell you what they were yelling at us, but it got scuffly. Copper broke it up. I got my uniform ripped in part of it. We went back down to the ship, and from that day, we were not allowed to wear uniform ashore. And we were not allowed to tell anybody that we were in Vietnam. I put my medals away for 20, 25 years. When it was accepted that we were still veterans and we were doing what we were told to do for our country. I mean, it was terrible over there. I remember my brother Ralph saying to me, the unions wouldn't load the ships with their beer to send them over a beer for Christmas. Things like that, and I used to think, come on, I mean, it was bloody, it wasn't a good place in Australia in those days. But a lot of the veterans, and the RSL didn't want to know us, Returned Servicemen's League didn't want to know us. I mean, it was a different set of, look, we're talking, how long ago? 50 plus 56 years ago. Yeah. I come home and I was 18. I turned 18 in Vietnam. I was a veteran by the time I was 18, and I'd been in under fire, and I'd seen so much death and so much carnage through that era and further on. And I thought, I've had enough. I wanted to go out and make them laugh, and I did. And Kaz and I, we got married, and we had our girls, and just absolutely beautiful. And we're very, very close. We're all very close. And they, between them, given us 8 grandchildren. And I'll show you something in a minute. We were talking about doing that song.
Yes.
And wait till you see my guitar. My 5-year-old gets it. And she loves stickers.
Oh.
So
she does. I love stickers.
Have a look at my guitar. That's my guitar. And she came, can I put a sticker on your guitar, Papa? I said, of course you can. And that's every time she comes in, she puts another sticker on it. So I do all that. And family is what gets there. But I always am available for the veterans, and where I can, I try and help. I do charity work for kids and veteran and a lot of different areas. and very, very, very proud to be a veteran.
Well, on that, you have a song, and it's not one of your, I guess, forward in the catalogue of work that you still do, but it was called What's a Pommy? And it tells the history of how Australia came to nickname, the English Pommies, and it covers Pommies, which were, a World War I soldier and so forth, and it has the full history there. And I learnt so much just from that one song, and then realizing that you have this like, everyone knows you for your comedic ability, but you have some beautiful songs that really show.
I can't take credit for writing all the songs that I've recorded. Like this All Gave Some. Alan Caswell rang me up, and Alan he's not arguably the most recorded Australian artist or songwriter. He is the most recorded. I think he's written for Cilla Black and, my God, and Alan and I are great mates, and Alan and I toured together. And just looking at my hand going up and down there, I am a little, yes, I'm doing, hey, what could do it? Oh, no, that's Trump, sorry.
Barbie, you're fired.
No, anyway.
He came up to me, tears in my eyes.
Can't help it, my mind goes back to comedy. But Alan wrote a song called All Gave Some, and he sent it to me. He said, Col, I didn't do Vietnam, but I know you did, and I want you to have this song. And it just says it all. He's just such a clever man. And I put my little Col Elliott on it, and we came up with that. Do you want me to do it?
And Alan Caswell, a mate of mine, wrote this song, and we recorded it together. Jamie and I'd like to do it for you now. This is to celebrate all those blokes. And it's... Thanks, mate. Here's a song, it's called All Gave Some. It goes like this. All gave some gave all. And when the price is paid for freedom, that's when heroes stand or fall. With their passion and their courage, they could hear their country call. All gave some gave all. We stand up at 6 o'clock for a moment of respect to the ones that kept on giving till they had nothing left. And at the setting of the sun, we will remember them. It's a debt we can't repay and won't forget. All gave some gave all. And when the price is paid for freedom, that's when heroes stand or fall. With their passion and their courage, they could hear their country call. All gave some gave all. The spirit of the Anzacs still lingers on today, and our hopes and prayers are with all the young people that are all those miles away. Like their fathers did before them, they do their country proud, but they've got to know that we're behind them all the way. All gave some gave all. Is paid for freedom, that's when heroes stand or fall. With their passion and their courage, they could hear their country call. All gave some gave all. All gave some gave all. And when the prize lest we forget.
God bless Ukraine, and lest we forget.
It's absolutely beautiful. I just get, you know.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, I don't think words could ever be said to thank people like yourself for everything that you've done for our country, and especially from Vietnam, when in a time where thanking you wasn't, I guess, you know, I can't even imagine what it was like. But on behalf of my generation,
yeah,
you know,
thank you.
Like, thank you for everything, you and all the Vietnam vets.
Let's just hope, Josh, that all this unsettlement around the world and all the things that are happening now can be resolved, and because so many children, innocent people, and soldiers and sailors and people are dying, and Air Force, you know, God, you know, you just want to be happy. You just want to live your life. We've got enough problems with all our homeless and all the people trying to getting a house, and all the problems we're having today. We don't need war. We don't need war. It's useless.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. And as someone that has spent their entire life, I was actually baptized in Puckapunyal Army Barracks, so the military has been in my life for a very long time. Unfortunately, never was allowed to serve myself due to medical reasons. But you know, I guess coming from a military perspective, understanding what people like yourself have gone through. But I'm hoping that your story encourages other veterans out there that may not feel it's their time to tell their story, should be encouraged that when they're ready, that their stories, there are going to be people there to listen. They don't have to go through it alone.
Yeah, and it's got to be. Look, it's a tough transition to come back to civilian life after you get institutionalized in the forces. And I still, to this day, live by a lot of the rules. I don't rubberneck. I don't look everywhere, and you find out where you want to go and go there. You know, and I was Navy. It just the discipline. You know, I still have it. I can't be late for anything, as you know.
Yep.
Where have you been?
Yep.
You know, I just, but at the same time, you know, it can be tough on some of the vets, and you've got family is everything. If you can put your arms around your family, that's what life's all about.
Probably the best takeaway message from all of this. Mr. Elliott, I can't thank you again for your time, and thank you so much for your service. Thank you for sharing your story again with us here as well.
Thank you very much, Flash. I call him Flash because he's quick. But thanks, Josho. Good to talk to you, mate.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Elliott. I'll talk to you again soon.
Bye, mate.
Bye.